Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another collection video. This is a collection of a band at the moment I just can't get enough of. I've been playing them constantly in the car, going through more or less every album, and I wanted to actually rank these albums, but I have to say they beat me. I can't do it, I just cannot rank the albums. So rather than putting out a false ranking, which I know that I wouldn't be happy with, I thought I would show you my vinyl collection of the Pretenders and Chrissie Hynde. Okay, the usual case is I'll show the vinyl LP, and where I don't have the vinyl I will show the CD. I'm not going to touch on the singles, there's too many of them as well, so it's just albums. And the first one is the one that everybody knows, and that's their debut album from 1980, and this is the Pretenders. I put this down as slightly overrated in the past, but I have been playing it again and I do enjoy it a lot more than I did. This has obviously got the hits Kid, Brass in Pocket and Stop Your Sobbing on it. Apart from that, I was never overly keen. Well, I did like Precious and The Weight, but this has actually grown on me a little bit more of late. I've actually concentrated on it. I do still prefer side 1 to side 2. I do like Private Life as well, but I actually prefer Grace Jones's version. But you know, this is actually a really good album, and it's still not my favourite, but this is their debut. In 1981 they released this album, Pretenders 2. Now I can actually remember at the time that this album was slagged off a little bit by the music press, thinking that it was nowhere near as good as their first. I actually think this is maybe slightly better than their first. It does have the hits Message of Love, I Go to Sleep, Day After Day on it, and of course possibly one of their best ever songs, Talk of the Town. But there's some other really strong songs on here, like Pack It Up, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and the very horn driven Louie Louie. Yeah, it's not Louie Louie, the old rock and roll number, it's a different song. I think this is really good, and it just doesn't quite get the credit it deserves. Now, the next album is from 1984, and this is Learning to Crawl, and I see this one an awful lot on the VC. Now, I don't think this is a very good album. I think it's a very good collection of songs, and let me qualify that. When this came out, there had already been 1, 2, 3, 4 singles lifted off this, going as far back as 1982. So in 82 you had Back in the Chain Gang, in 83 you had 2000 Miles and Thin Line Between Love and Hate, and in 84 you had Middle of the Road. So whenever the actual album came out, a lot of the B-sides were actually on this as well, so you were getting very few new songs, and it just felt like a wee little bit of a cheat. But you know, for somebody who's never heard of Pretenders, this is probably going to be one of their favourite ones. But I just remember at the time there was not that much new on this. Thumbelina and My City Was Gone are two of the big highlights. Now, My City Was Gone was the B-side of Back in the Chain Gang from 82. So this is Learning to Crawl. 86, I think this is a fantastic LP. I really do. I know it's their most dated sounding. This is Get Close, and this has Don't Get Me Wrong, My Baby, and the wonderful Hymn to Her on it. Other highlights for me are Chill Factor, Tradition of Love, the beautiful little I Remember You, and When I Changed My Life. I think part of the reason why I really do like this is one of the few records that really does take me back in time, and this does take me back to 1986. So whenever I play this, I can the people I used to hang about with and so forth, they all just come to light again. Yeah, I love it. It's not often regarded as their best, but I think it is one of their best. And I've often said this is my favourite Pretenders album, although I'm not so sure now, but yeah, I love it. Next up is a greatest hits, and this is a fantastic starter point for anybody wanting to get into the Pretenders. Sorry, it's called the singles, and basically it does what it says on the tin. It lists all the singles from Stop Your Sobbing to My Baby in '86. It also does include I Got You Babe, which I'm not too keen on, the UB40 and Chrissie Hynde track, although I do love the other one they did, Breakfast in Bed, but that came after this was released. So this is an excellent starting point for anyone wanting to explore the Pretenders. 1990, or is it 89? I'm not sure. 1990, and this is a really underrated album, and this is packed. The two singles off this were Never Do That, which has got a slight reminiscence to Back in the Chain Gang, and Sense of Purpose. But yeah, this is good, solid Pretenders. I have to say that Pretenders really is Chrissie Hynde, you know, because the band, although for the first two albums they had the same band with Pete Farnham, James Honeyman Scott and Martin Chambers, but obviously the two guitarists died, and Martin Chambers has been in and out of the band, but really Chrissie's the one who writes all the songs. She's the leader of the band, and so yeah. Anyway, other great songs off this are Millionaires, Let's Make a Pact, Criminal, How Do I Miss You. Really strong album, and it's very accessible as well. It's like a catchy album. So that's from 1990. Packed. 1993, and this one's gone up for me. I used to not really like this. This is Last of the Independents, and this has the slightly overplayed I'll Stand By You, and its credibility was diminished a little bit whenever Girls Aloud did it as well. But it has Night in My Veins on it, which is a real hard rocking but extremely erotic song. 977, which is a very contentious ballad about a girl or a woman getting beaten up by her boyfriend stroke husband, but seeing it with a different perspective. I would have thought if that was released as a single now, it would probably get banned. It's interesting. You may not agree with what she's singing, but it's interesting. A nice little version of Tequila. Hollywood Perfume is a really good opener, and she does a very good version of Forever Young by Bob Dylan. So this is Last of the Independents from 1993. Or is it 94? I think it's 93. 95, and we have this double live album. It's called The I Love You, and this is absolutely wonderful. This is like an MTV Unplugged type album. It starts off with Sense of Purpose and Chill Factor, one of my favourites from Get Close. It actually more or less covers something off each and every album. The version of 2000 Miles on here is magnificent. This is a really brilliant double live album. Next up, and I've shown this, this is a recent purchase, and this is Viva El Amor. This is from 1999 with the minor hit single Human. Popstar is the other single here, but this is again another strong album. The Pretenders sound doesn't vary much, but so that's why I think I find it difficult to actually rank them. But some of the songs here I adore, like Nails on the Road. One More Time is awesome. Legalize It, From the Heart Down is one of their better albums. One of their best albums, I shouldn't say better, one of their best albums, Viva El Amor. Okay, next up, we go into 2002, and this has never been released on vinyl. This is Loose Screw. Now, I would normally put this actually at the bottom of the list, because I find that the melodies on this were not quite as good, but I'm starting to change my mind because I played it in the car about 3 times and I love it. Lie to Me is a great little 2-minute long rocker opener. Complex Person is very reggae. Nothing Breaks Like a Heart, I think. It has a type of Police Zenyatta Mandata sound to it. This is their most reggae album, I think, with splatters of rock in it, and You Know Who Your Friends Are is probably, I think it was the single from it, if it was a single, maybe a download, But yeah, this is a very strong album. I used to think it was the worst. I just don't know now. I just can't rank them. Okay, next up, in 2008 they released Break Up the Concrete, and yeah, this opens with fantastic Boots of Chinese Leather, and the acoustic The Nothing Maker is another really good strong album. A couple of dodgy little songs on it, like Don't Cut Your Hair is not great. Almost Perfect is actually quite jazzy, and I find it a little bit hard to get into. But Didn't Have To is an absolutely fantastic song, and Rosalie rocks like hell. It's a very, very strong album again. Would it be up at the top? Possibly, maybe, I don't know. So this is Break Up the Concrete from 2008. Okay, let me see where we're at. Chrissie then went and did a solo album called Stockholm, and this is from 2014. And you think, well, it's a Pretenders album really, but I think all Pretenders albums, apart from maybe the first couple, are Chrissie Hynde albums. But this is a slightly more pop sensibility to it. You or No One, I think it's actually it's almost maybe a little bit 60s, but with 2010's production. Dark Sunglasses was the single off this. The one I really like is You're the One. It's a fantastic song. It's a really strong album. I don't know why she just didn't call it the Pretenders, because really, as I said before, she is the Pretenders. But this is Stockholm, and I know this was actually recorded in Sweden, but good album, Chrissie Hynde. And then the next one, and the last Pretenders album as such, is Alone. So this is more or less saying what I'm saying, because this is Pretenders, Chrissie Hynde Alone. So really it is a second Chrissie Hynde solo, which I think should be Pretenders anyway. But this took a bit of getting used to. Alone is a good song. Chord Lord's a very, very good song. Never Be Together. It's a little bit more up to date than the Stockholm album, but yeah, I really do enjoy this as well. The Many You Are, did I mention that, is great. It's a very strong album, and I've been playing this quite a bit in the car to and from work, so that's Alone. And the last album is this one. This is the most recent purchase, and this is Chrissie Hynde with the Valve Bone Woe Ensemble. And this is a jazz album. If I was putting this, I would probably put this at the bottom because I'm not a big jazz freak. But give it its due, there are some really good songs on this. How Glad I Am is wonderful. She does a really good version of Caroline No. And actually a very strong version of Wild as the Wind. It's done over a double album, but it does have that jazz feeling to it, which I would have to be in the mood for. But you know, I played this for about 3 days in a row in the car, and I think it's good, but I don't think it's absolutely brilliant. I know Brian Eno has gone saying that this is an absolute mark of genius, but I don't know. It's okay. So that's the vinyl albums. Now there's a couple of CDs that I want to show. You used to see this in Woolworths all the time on the cheapy CD rack, called Don't Get Me Wrong. The reason I bought this is it's got a couple of B-sides on it that weren't on any albums. For example, Porcelain and what's the other one called? It's Cuban Slide, which were B-sides of 2 of the Pretenders 2 singles, and there's a live version of Money on this. It was a budget CD, and it was well worth picking up. And the other CD I have is this Pretenders Live in London CD, and this is a CD DVD combination, I believe. Yeah, it is. I got this in 2010 when it came out. I have never played this, and it's a disgrace. I'm going to have to put this in the car and play the CD because I just don't know anything about it. I thought, oh, I'm going to buy that. It came, and at least I took it out of the shrink wrap, but I never played it. So that's my Pretenders collection. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.